Madam Chair, you're live.
Thank you. Evening, everyone. Welcome to the Arts and Public Places Commission meeting on May 30th, 2023. We are calling to order at 7:03 p.m. May I have a roll call, please, Joe?
Yes. Genevieve.
Here.
David.
Present.
Joe here. Jim.
Here.
Cynthia.
Here.
Barbara.
Here.
Lynn.
Here.
And Chrissa.
You say her name and she goes away.
I'll take that static as a yes.
She was here.
She was here. I know. Yeah.
Mhm.
She just
All right.
dropped off, but she probably just lost signal.
Do we have a motion on the floor to approve the May 30th, 2023 agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Lynn.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone
Aye.
opposed? Okay, moves forward. Thank you. All right. Is there a motion on the floor to approve the April 25th, 2023 minutes?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Barbara. All those in favor say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Thank you, everyone. That moves as well. Okay. We have reports from committees, and we begin with the Poet Laureate report.
Thanks, Genevieve. Hi, everyone. A short update from the Poet Laureate Subcommittee. We have received applicants and we are in the process of setting up interviews for June. And we will make a recommendation to the commission at our next meeting on the 27th. And I am still working with Inna about the site. That's a whole other thing, the website. But big thank you to Cynthia while I was away for forwarding the citation for Maggie Benshaw as our Poet Laureate. So thank you. That's about it, unless Cynthia has something to add.
No, you're welcome, Barbara.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. For the gallery updates, now through June 24th at the Pip Moyer Gallery is the Shilas Studio presenting Painting Through the Ages. Please make sure that you go and please help promote it. You can share the post from the Pip Moyer Rec Center social media or also from Arts and Public Places social media. So proposed mural updates, we'll go over the applications later. I don't have anything else to report at this time outside of what we have for the applicants. And public outreach updates. We haven't had any meetings with anybody outside of the commission. I don't know if anybody else has any other updates on public outreach. David or Chrissa, if you do, I'll give you the floor.
I do not.
I think we might have lost Chrissa.
There she's there.
I
She's on
see her.
mute.
I see her, I just don't hear her. Okay.
She's on mute.
Okay. We will move on to budget then. I sent out the budget. It is in the folder for the applications that we will be reviewing tonight as well for your reference. And we have approximately $5,000 in there currently. And I talked to finance and they said that they anticipate another payment coming in before our fiscal year starts on July 1st. She said approximately mid-June. They don't have a specific date yet. So as soon as the funds hit the account, I will let everybody know what the new balance is and whether we can hold a spending vote in June. The reason we are not doing spending votes currently is because the funds are not available to based on the application asks. And Rosalind expressed last time during our meeting that we are not allowed to gift money that we don't actually have in our account, because they would have to pull it from other accounts, and then that just kind of makes it messy. So we're just going to stick with the path that we've taken before. If the money's not there, then we can't vote and we can't spend the money. So where's
I have a question.
hold on, did anybody have any questions on the current budget that was sent over?
Yes.
Go ahead, Jim.
According to the paper that you sent out, the budgets for the past couple years, it summarizes at the end a balance of 116,119. Is that, did we get an appropriation of 223,900 from the hotel tax? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Hold on a second. I'm pulling it up. I know,
Okay.
but fine. I've got a lot of windows open here. Okay.
And the numbers don't seem to quite add up, but
Okay. So like I expressed before, the currently it'll say a certain amount on the report that we get from the city, but that's not reflective of the votes that we've taken within our meeting to appropriate funds. So we're holding $50,000 for the Westgate Circle. We're holding $30,000 for the summer programming. We're holding $10,000 for maintenance of the current art that is installed throughout the city, as well as there are unpaid invoices. So if you go and refer to the spreadsheet that I send out to everybody that for the vendor payments, and it shows you that what the city says our current budget is, but then it deducts what we've already voted on, what's outstanding, what has been submitted, what still needs to be submitted, and then it brings us down to $5,219.28.
okay. And we're anticipating, you don't know a number?
I don't have an actual number. She thought it might be close to 200,000. They don't anticipate it to be as much as last year's, but we won't exactly know until it hits the
And
account.
that is the annual amount you're talking about?
No, so it's paid in a couple of
parts?
times into our account, yes. So so this will be like the first installment. And
So
that'll
it'll be 100 something, maybe.
yes, yeah.
Okay.
And she's trying to get us hard numbers, and she said she would have them for us by mid-June.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. Well, then we can move on.
I have questions on the spreadsheet.
Okay,
Is that all right to ask now?
go ahead. Yeah, we're still within budget, so go ahead.
Okay. It's a little confusing because it shows where the commission voted for something several months ago, or many months ago in some cases, and it doesn't say a check is cut. However, I checked with one of the people and they received their check a month ago, but it's not shown as checked off here. So how up to date is this? Because
Which one?
the Chesapeake Children's Museum was paid about she said about 4 weeks ago.
I
And-
have that highlighted in green as being paid.
Yes, but it says check cut. What does that mean?
It means that the city cut the check and mailed it.
Okay, but it's not checked on here. And she's received the check from the city 4 weeks ago.
It is checked on my spreadsheet. It's in green, which means it's been paid.
Well, unfortunately, it's in green, but there's a column next to that. The last column says, or the last filled column says check cut, which would indicate that the payment was sent.
Yep.
It's
So
one thing
I put a Y in there, but it is green, so it means it was paid because it's reflective on our budget. If you go back to the budget the budget report that comes from the city, it shows that the check was cut.
But do you see why I'm confused?
But you don't, but it doesn't,
Why put the column check cut in here if we're not going to actually have note that the check was actually done?
because you have the budget report from the city. This is just a backup, so everybody knows what our actual funds are. That is already marked green, so it's not reflective in the funds that need to come out, Jim.
I understand that. I'm just wondering
But
why.
Why there wasn't a Y in it?
That's correct.
Okay, well, I just put a Y in there, thank you, but I missed it.
All
But
right,
I had
okay.
it, but I
That's all
had
I needed
I had
to
it
do.
highlighted in green, which means it was paid.
Okay, and I'm happy with that. I'm glad it was paid.
Okay.
There are a couple of them that are a couple in blue. But I presume the David Hayes thing has not been paid yet.
Well, not according to the current budget report, doesn't mean that it wasn't cut since I got the report. But the invoice was submitted because it's in blue, so it's in process of being.
Okay, well, I haven't received the money, so it makes no difference. Okay, all right, I'm just following up. The notation is a little confusing when it's not up to date at the time of our commission meeting. And I know that some of this stuff can't be done right away, but I just needed to know that you had noted it was paid.
Yeah, if it's in green, it's been paid. Just because I didn't put the Y in there as the check cut was just an extra administrative entry that I didn't make, but it was been highlighted as green, so it's paid.
Okay,
And it's also on the city budget report as being cut, so,
okay,
okay.
thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else with questions? Okay. So we'll move forward then. What we have in the folder are all of the current applications that have come to us. So this is our time to go through them thoroughly, make sure that all the information that we need to do a well-informed vote is within these applications. If there is something missing, then I'll take note and I can contact them and ask them to submit other things. So if any of the commissioners want any additional information based on these applications, we will ask for them. They have basically 30 days to get them to us before we would have them come spend. To the spending vote. So they would come present, thank you. And so they'll present their projects and then we'll have the votes afterwards. So this is just a step for us to have time to discuss them instead of being rushed through and only having like 5 minutes to discuss the applications before we decide on a spending vote after a presentation. So we'll go through these applications, we'll discuss them. If we need more information from them, I will send them an email. We'll get that information from them. And if the funds do hit our account in June, then we can invite them to present at the end of June at our meeting. If the funds are not there to spend yet, we'll have to table the applications until the funds are there. And whether that's July or September, I don't know. We're at the mercy of the funds coming in. So we will start with the application for the Old Fourth Ward Unity Day event. This is an event that we have supported before. Generally, how it works is we pay the artists individually. We don't pay the organizers. So she needs to get me those W-9s and vendor applications if they are different than last year. She said there are 2 new different musicians. So those are things that I will have to ask her for after this meeting because I don't have them yet. I do want to remind everybody as we go through these applications that there are things in our code that define how we do the spending process and how we decide who to give money to. And some of the regulations are whether we have given a person money prior to this vote. Also, if they're getting money from the city in addition to this. So it doesn't disqualify them, but it wants us to prioritize those who are not getting additional funds, who haven't been funded from us before, and for us to take that into consideration. We take that into consideration and we have a discussion about it and we still decide to support the event, that's fine too. That's within our decision-making, but I do want to bring that forward and make sure that everybody knows that that is outlined in our code.
Could I make a suggestion? The application is pretty good in that it covers a lot of ground, but it might be helpful to both sides of the process if we had a checklist of the things that will be required and need to be done before they can be considered for a vote.
Okay, so on the bottom of the application for the work of art, there is a checklist that we have to go through as a commission. And there's answers, there's questions that can be answered during the presentation, but there's also stuff that we can discuss now as we're reviewing the applications. So if you scroll,
okay.
you can see those things. And again, it's like checking the boxes, whether we've given money to them before, whether the city and all that kind of stuff is on there. So if you want to go ahead and review those questions, that's fine. We can take the time.
Do we ask whether they have the permission of, in this case, it would be the county recreation and parks?
Exactly. So Anne Arundel County does have access to this application. They have seen it. I didn't get confirmation from them yet or whether that was approved or not. So that is something that we'll have to make sure that we do have before we have them present.
And for an event like this, $10,000 is a rather large amount of money. Do we ask for a breakdown of how it's going to be spent?
Yeah, so she submits an invoice with the payments to all of the musicians, and that's how we end up cutting the checks, is they go to the musicians directly. It doesn't go to the organizers.
Good. Okay. Again, I didn't get to see that invoice, so that's why I'm asking the question.
Yeah, she hasn't submitted it yet. So that's something that we need to have from her. And this is why we're going through these applications, so you guys see the process that it takes and making sure that we have all of the information that we need before they present. So we do have all the information in front of us.
I've looked at these applications and I don't see a checklist. So maybe your idea of a checklist and my idea of a checklist are a little different, but we can work on that. We don't necessarily have to discuss that tonight.
So I can share my screen.
I just feel it should be attached right to the application so they see how we're
It
evaluating
is.
it.
So right here on the bottom, this is what we have. Now,
Okay, that's the page I didn't spend a lot of time on because it was blank.
so
Okay.
these are the things that we go through as a commission during the presentation or after the presentation or prior to the presentation. And these are the questions that we are to take into consideration before we make the vote.
Okay.
And then it's filled out and submitted. So
Okay,
they-
so,
And also, if you scroll up too, it does also in this application talk about the process. I'm trying to find it in here. Talks about, let's see. Where is it? And it helps if we read through all of this so we know all of the parts that when they sign this application, this is what they are agreeing to, and that we need to also make sure that when they're doing the presentation that it meets all of these criteria in the application too.
okay. That's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm comfortable now.
Okay.
I did read all that, but it just slipped by me that I just thought it would be simpler to have some way of checking things off, but
So
that's okay.
We
Not necessary.
could we could possibly come, to do something just, for, additionally for, us or when you're reviewing the applications, when you get them, from Joe, you could go through for your own records and, check boxes and make notes or whatever. And that's something that we could definitely figure out if we need in addition to this. Anybody else have any other requirements for Unity Day or questions that we can take care of during the next 30 days before we get to the June spending vote?
What was the date of Unity Day?
So she's got it on August 26th this year.
Okay.
Actually, it's not. Her date is wrong on there. It says 2022.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so she
Enough
needs,
is enough.
yeah, she needs to correct those dates. So. Okay. So I will write her an email and ask her for this information and for the updates and corrections to be made. Okay. So we'll move on to the Pearl Health Mural project. So I did talk to Jeff, and he has a rough draft concept. He doesn't have an actual art concept drawn for them yet because they have not paid him the design fee. So at this time, there isn't anything visually to present to us, which we do require for moving murals forward.
Yeah, because I was trying to look to see where on the, it's interesting, 'cause I grew up like 30 feet from that place. Spent a lot of time there. So I wondering where on the building he's going to actually what he's going to do and where and what he was going to do. So I didn't see that in there at all. So I was hoping that would, yeah.
Yeah,
Was that the picture that was attached to the application?
Is there a picture attached? I may have missed that.
Yeah, it was this thing called a listserv. We got a bunch of stuff on the listserv. I'm not sure what I'm talking about, but
Yeah, we don't have a
so scroll all the way down, and this is the rough concept, but it's not accurate. He just put in faces of his previous artwork.
Yeah. Okay.
oh, okay. I thought that
Yeah.
That's
that's-
exactly. I got it now. I see it now.
But that's the placement where the mural will
Got it.
be.
yeah.
There hasn't been an actual design drawn yet. So
Yeah, I thought that was kind of a well-worn design. Another one
Seen
of
it
these.
before.
All
huh,
that
Jim?
looks familiar. Yeah, all of that looks
Yeah,
familiar
right.
because that's his past works.
Gee,
Yeah.
Jeff, why do we need to pay that much for the same artwork?
Yeah, so they're working that out, and when we get the actual draft of the work, then we'll be able to move forward to have more discussion about it. But it is
I think that's the right side of the building.
Yeah, it's like you're coming from Chinkapin Round Road going down.
Right.
Yep.
it's a good exposure.
Yeah.
And then also we had to wait until the next fiscal year because we did already do a project through Pip Moyer with Jeff. So he had already been given money. So that's something else to take into consideration with this
Yeah.
project is that
So we have to wait until after July.
July 1st. Yeah.
Okay.
I think Cindy has a hand up.
Go ahead, Cynthia.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had my hand up pertaining to the project number 1, the previous project.
Sorry, I didn't see it. So go ahead. We can.
That's okay. I didn't see on project number 1, W9.
Okay, so as I mentioned, it doesn't go to the organizer, it goes to the musicians. She needs to send us the invoice of each musician and we cut the checks directly to the musicians. She said there's 2 new musicians this year, so she has to send me the information of who I'm sending the vendor application and the W-9s to. The other 2 musicians have already been approved as vendors with the city because they were paid last year. So that's why there's nothing attached to it.
Great.
Genevieve,
Jim?
I just got a message by text that the check for the David Hayes exhibition was received today.
Okay, fabulous. Thank you for sharing that. But let's try to keep it on topic, Jim. Thanks.
I
Okay.
will.
Any other questions about the Pearl Health Center mural? Okay, so I will let them know that as soon as they have that design contract settled between the 2 of them and Jeff has a design for us that we can move forward.
Okay, good. All
Okay.
good.
The Annapolis Jazz and Roots Festival is up next.
Well, there's a lot. Application.
A lot of paperwork too.
Yep, so they submitted a full proposal.
Really nice. Very thorough.
It is an event that we did sponsor last year as well. So, and they provided the budget this year to show where the funds were going last year. And
Yeah, Pauline is usually pretty thorough about things. They send lots of emails.
they're good with the paperwork. Yes.
Yes, they are. I have no questions for that.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions on this?
No, wouldn't it be nice if we got all these kinds of proposals with all this paperwork?
No, see,
Yeah, I agree.
this is why we're doing the review process now, so we can make sure that, you know, when it comes to a vote, that we do have all the presentations in and as much information as possible from them. So. And yes, it would be nice if everybody did detailed budgets too as well. That would be fabulous.
It's going to be a really nice event.
And their ask was for $10,000. they are not getting any additional funds by the city.
They
And
wanted to raise.
yes, they do. Last year we gave them 7,500. So
Yeah.
So in looking at this, would you say this one is complete and we could vote on that in June?
If we have
if
the-
we had
Or,
the funds, yeah, if
or
we
in
had the funds,
July.
yes, when we have the funds, yes. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yes, this application is complete. They are an approved vendor already. So they are good to go with us reviewing and having a presentation if we choose to have them come.
Maybe they can bring some music and we could listen,
As part of the presentation.
or even in the background.
I'm sure they have videos, I'm sure.
Okay.
Little background music during the meeting. That'd be nice.
We can play our own background music, Jimmy, if that's what you want, man.
Maybe Julian can hook us up.
Yeah.
I mean, they did send us audio files.
They did.
Yeah.
There are audio files, and on their social media they have
Do board members get them?
information.
I gotta stop teasing.
Let's see. Okay. Any other questions on the Annapolis Jazz and Roots Festival?
No.
Okay. So now we have the Chesapeake Jazz Festival application.
I had a couple questions about this one.
Okay. So their ask is 20,000. They are not receiving additional funds from the city. We have not given them money before. This is for the Classic Theater in Maryland.
They charge admission to
Yeah, so
Maryland Hall and to the Classic Theater. Wasn't that some kind of an issue for us?
So, yes, the events that they have detailed that we would be funding are actually open and free to the public.
Okay,
So they've taken them apart from the others that would have charged entry.
they don't
Maybe
list
it's-
those here, do they? I don't see them.
Trying to find it. It's on the other application. If you look at the CAM scanner 0427 2023 10.10.pdf, on the bottom, it
Okay.
says 2024 Chesapeake Jazz Festival proposed.
Okay, performance
events.
local artists, Ron Holloway, Paul Carr.
Yep.
You know,
These
for-
are the events that are free and open to the public.
Oh, that's
okay.
Yeah, so they have 1, 2, 3, 4,
Bobby McFerrin for free? Wow.
5 local artists. Yeah, look at that. And then the national artists, they have 3 national artists for free.
That's why they want like $20,000.
Yeah, they're not doing it for, the artists aren't doing it for free.
No, the artists are not doing it for free, but they're going to open it up to the public for free.
Which is good. I know the Chesapeake Theater is kind of small, relatively speaking, so it'll mean that we have to apply for tickets really early.
Any questions regarding this application?
No, I didn't
Okay.
see it.
So their vendor application has been submitted to the city. I am still waiting for approval. That will move the application forward once they're an approved vendor. So just so everybody knows the status of that.
This is for next year too, right?
It is. It's for 2024. They already had theirs this year in April.
What dates is this thing?
April
April?
28th. April
Yeah, I see it on
28th,
the bottom.
2024, next year.
Yeah, I see it down at the bottom. thought they had it on there.
Yep. So on page 2 of the first document, Jim,
I see it. I saw it. I just forgot what.
page
what
1, sorry. Yep.
I know. It's right there.
Okay. If there aren't any other questions on this, we can move forward to the final application for review. And that's the Art Walk application, the application from Art Walk for the Hillman Art. At one time, many years ago, we did work as partners with Art Walk, but this would basically be a whole new project with them. And their ask was for $125,000. They're hoping that the installation is done in the fall of 2024. I'm sorry, that's the total amount. They're asking
for
for 45,000.
45,000.
Yes,
Yeah.
45,000. Yeah, sorry. And then they are not getting additional funding from the city for this. And eventually in 30 years, this will be a city property, but currently at this status, it is owned and operated by a separate entity. So it is not city property, just so you know. So there's some limitations as to what we can require from them, but we can still donate money to things that are on non-city property. So. Yeah,
Well, it's
and he
nearly
did.
leased. It's leased, isn't it? It's not owned by the.
It is. It's
contract.
leased. Yeah, it's not.
So it's really city property.
Yeah, but we don't really have the jurisdiction to currently, not for another 30 years. He did put in the application, I see it here, that in 2007 and 2008, that Arts and Public Places did give them $80,000 for the Art Walk projects that we partnered with them. So that is on there. And
Which is pretty much still hanging.
Yes, almost everything is, yes. In
And it looks great,
decent condition.
except
Yeah.
for one piece that's separating from the building, but that's.
Yeah, it
we
needs
have
some
to fix.
maintenance.
Are you expressing hesitance about this?
No.
Oh, okay. Because I thought it was kind of be nice to do something besides have just an ugly parking garage, and it's a beautiful
It's not
parking
ugly.
garage.
It's beautiful. It's brand new. What are you talking about?
But it's a parking garage. But it's a parking garage, and it's an ugly alley. It'll
Is it-
brighten up that alley.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions regarding the application? Do we need more information? I mean, they did give us a detailed presentation as well.
Yeah. Is this the final design on the building?
So this is a thing, like my understanding, and I can double check with them, but my understanding is this is a proposed design of what it will be, because they're going to work with the community and the public to generate the final design. But this is the concept that they have
That's kind of cool.
for it. So like all of the photographs will be curated, so within that art piece, but the structure of the art piece is their design.
That's cool. Okay.
And they're also going to make it interactive, aren't they? With QR codes,
Yes.
There-
Yeah.
similar to the way the mural on the Rundle Center
Yes.
worked. So I
Yeah,
think it's got a lot of innovation.
Just thinking of interactive, you're going to crawl up there and play around with it on the ladder.
All
We
you
can-
do is just click it
We
with
can
your
make it a
thumb.
rock wall,
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. There you go. That's a liability for you.
The insurance should cover that. It should be fine.
Yeah, right. Not to mention the traffic coming in and out of the entrance. Yeah, that'd be great.
I see Lynn shaking her head over there.
No, that's cool.
Come on, Lynn.
We are televised. That's all.
Yes, we are televised. Yes. So if there aren't any other needs on this application, as soon as we have funds, we will schedule them for a presentation then.
When I went through these applications, I came to a total of around $109,000.
Yeah. It'll be
Wow.
almost all of our new budget.
For the first 6 months.
Yeah. It's funny how
Well,
fast it
maybe-
spends, right?
Yeah.
It comes in and it goes, but that's good. That's what it's supposed to do. So, okay. So,
Although,
yes,
God, can you-
go ahead.
I can't hear myself. So,
We can hear you.
although just to point out, I mean, at least one of those events isn't until next summer. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's
Yep.
spending, it's a lot of upfront requests, but they are at least spread out over part of the year.
Right. The check wouldn't be cut until
Mhm.
next
Right.
year. So,
Mhm.
any other questions on the 5 applications that we have?
No.
Okay.
Now, will we have time for these presentations at our meeting in June?
If the
I
funds
mean,
are, if the
yeah.
funds are there, yeah, if the funds are deposited, then
Okay.
we will have them present in June. Otherwise, we'll have to wait until the funds are deposited because the presentations will happen and then a voting, a spending vote happens after the presentations. So,
Okay.
And this is just a logistical thing, given the timing of when our information goes out, the timing of agendas and stuff, they would need to, the people that we are asking for additional information from would need, sorry, I'm on a different computer, would need to get that to you by about June 18th or 19th. So less than a month.
okay. Yeah. Okay. I will put that in the email. Yeah. That way we can compile it all and send it out to everybody. Okay. Okay. We can move on then to unfinished business. The proposed changes to the AIPPC grant funding was published in both the Capitol and the Annapolis Times, and it has all been certified with the city. The affidavits came in and were submitted to legal. Where it is now is that it'll be presented to rules and at the next meeting for them. And then once rules reviews it, and as long as they don't find any adjustments that they want made to the procedure, then it will be presented as a notification to the city council that it's being added to our rules and procedures of how we operate.
It
Cynthia,
sounds like we're operating
Jim,
with those
Jim.
rules now.
Jim, you got to put your hand up. Cynthia's got her hand up, so I'm going to let her have the floor. Thank you.
Sure.
Go ahead, Cynthia.
Quick question. What was the date that it was in the Capitol? Because I've been looking for it and I've never seen it.
Let me just confirm. It ran for 2 days and then it ran for 28 days in the Annapolis Times. So
Okay. And will the city council have a vote on the new operating
council does not.
procedures?
City council does not have authority to vote on it. And in fact, I was just notified that a couple of our council members asked boards and commissions director if we had rules and procedures for grant funding and us approval. And she said, well, that's actually what the commission is doing right now. So they were very pleased that we were introducing a setup procedure to move forward with our grant funding. So we are lock and step in what the city council wants to see us doing with our new budget. And let me look this up.
I find that hard to believe that the city council doesn't have a say in it.
Well, it goes to rules and procedures, and that's who.
Right. And
you know,
then they report that to the council.
And they
then
report it to the council, yes, but the council
Yes.
doesn't do a vote on it. It's just the procedure, it's how it is. I didn't make the rules. I'm just here to abide by them.
But we've been operating under these new rules regardless of whether they've been approved by the Rules Committee. Is that correct?
We currently are
That's what
not,
we're doing now.
we're currently not operating underneath the rules, no.
Okay.
It was in the paper on May 5th and May 6th. And I have the affidavit here. If you want me to share the screen, I can. And here's the affidavit. Sorry.
Good.
Cynthia?
Yes, I just have a question. Up to this date, there's been no public comment. And our community has made no acknowledgement of being aware of these changes. Have you received any comments from the public?
Well, the public is aware because it was published in 2 separate publications. It's also been on our social media since March. It is now May, the end of May. No, there has been no public comment submitted to us for review. I double checked with both Michelle, who receives any public comment or applications from our website, the AIPPC at Annapolis.gov, that goes to Michelle Cross. And I also double checked with the board's director, and nothing was submitted at City Hall either.
Have we received any comments that would come through the website on any subject? Have we received anything?
No.
And is it my understanding, can we see a list of the people who have accessed our meeting through the website? I mean,
no,
is it
we don't data track like that. No. That's like private information. Like, we don't do that. The city website
if they
doesn't.
showed up at a public meeting, you would see them and you would know who they were. And they might even have a sign-up sheet.
Well, if somebody leaves a comment, I mean, you could see that, but they're on the YouTube channel for the city. So it just shows how many views. And if they wanted to send in a comment, then we would know who the commenter was, because they would fill out the form that is on our website, and it would have their name and address and all that type of stuff. And then if they wanted to submit a comment, either written, it would just be in written form, but they also have the option where they can come to our meeting and present their comments during our meeting, but nobody has signed up for that. So, but when you go to our website, on our page, there is separate boxes that you can check when submitting your comment.
Okay. Obviously, I don't particularly like that way of doing things, but if you're comfortable with that, I'm not fussing about it.
procedure. Cynthia?
Procedure.
Just a question, are we under any obligation to translate our documents and applications into Spanish?
We aren't under an obligation to do so, but there is the ability to translate the whole website into Spanish. If most of our English as second language residents do have the ability to translate any website that they go to into Spanish. And that would also apply to most forms. Some PDFs you would have to do separately, probably not online. So it's kind of a second step, but that is an
That's a
option.
lot of documents. You can't really translate that on the fly like a website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Ashley is here tonight, so if anybody had any questions regarding the legality of the new procedures with Ashley, you can ask, but Ashley did say that we could hold a vote tonight to move the new procedures forward to the rules. So do we have a motion on the floor to move the grants funding procedures forward?
Guess there's a question real quick. I know the
Yeah.
rules committee has it. Do we have to wait for them? I mean, is that a yes or no vote or?
Yeah. So to finalize it, yes, we have to wait for them. This is just us moving it forward now. We've had it published for 30 days in publication, and now we're sending it over to them.
Okay, so this
This
is a vote
is
to
not,
send it
this
to
is not
them.
us implementing it.
This is for us to send it to them for approval.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
Lynn?
So we have not sent it to the rules committee.
Well, it did go to the rules committee, but they've canceled their last 3 meetings, so nothing, they haven't.
So they have it. They have it. So we don't need to act on it until
Okay.
we get hear back from them. I would not suggest a vote this evening.
Okay.
until-
So we don't have to do a motion.
I would
on
think
that
that
line.
would be prudent.
Okay. If it's redundant, let's not do it. Okay. So next on the agenda is the RFP for the Westgate Circle Public Art per the comments made at our last meeting. The Arts Council is updating it, and she's putting together the application currently. So once she has the application put all together, I will send it out to everybody. So what we decided to do last time is we decided not to put the dollar amount of 100,000, which they had put in there, that we putting it back to 50,000, which is ours, and that's just seed money. And then to also push it for a month for the finalists from September 1st to November 1st. And there was the correction that Barbara asked for the National Cemetery, for it to be named not accurately, but correctly. And then moving forward, after we get the application, we can decide on if we'll set funding aside for the reception and all of the other administrative items for once it's selected, and then how we're going to do that in the end, so like for the Brumidi statue, there was a reception. Are we going to do something similar, and where, and all the administrative details of that. So. Is there anything else that anybody can think of? And Cynthia?
Just a reminder that the Brumidi statue unveiling, there was no public funds used for that reception. It was all community-based.
Yeah. Everybody did donate, so which was really nice. Joe?
Just a informational question. Do you have any rough sense of when those revisions from the Arts Council might be available to us?
So she wants to finalize the application by tomorrow. So I should have something out to everybody, hopefully by tomorrow, later afternoon. Anything else? Fabulous. Okay. Now we will move to open discussion. Does anybody have anything for open discussion? David?
I just want to apologize for not raising my hand. I was rude. I'm sorry.
Thank you. I appreciate that greatly. Anybody else? Cynthia?
A couple of things. I just want to, make a note because in the past we have discussed corporate funding for city projects. And, if things are embedded in the development of a project and the artwork is part of the plan, I think, that's a goal that we have worked towards and discussed many, many times, including the city, the transition committee, soul of the city team. But I do want to note that there have been 5 public facilities that have been completed within the last 6 months by the city of Annapolis. The Public Works Building, currently this week, the Maritime Museum, the Back Creek Park, which is a city park, the Crab Building, which is the Accessibility Boating Center, which is a property of the city of Annapolis, the Elktonia Cars Beach, and then the Hillman Garage project. So these are just sort of lost opportunities. I think, they should be open to discussion. And plans for public art should be embedded in the project as the project goes along. That's just a goal that we have discussed in the past. So I'll leave that open for discussion if anybody has any comments.
Yeah, so we could break that down per ward. So whoever ward these projects were happening in should have reached out to the development company prior to, as well as asking for a seat at the table like we are for City Dock. And that would help get us into having the pre-implementation discussions and also being able to design within the projects instead of doing it as an afterthought later. I do know that, the Maritime Museum, we did pay for a new mural over there from last year, and they're very extremely grateful for that. So that was implemented, but and the Elktonia, I will say this, I know that it's still in like many design phases right now. They're trying to figure out how they're going to move forward with it based on what they want it to be. And so I think that's still open for discussion. There isn't any finalized plans yet for development over there. So that could be still something that, we could work side by side with them on. The Hillman Garage, obviously we do have a project in front of us for that. And as we said, we had to make sure that those who were operating the lease on the building were good with it, because it's not technically within the city purview until 30 years. So Arts and Public Places couldn't just be like, hey, you're going to put art in your building. We had to get permission first, and that's what Art Walk did. And they went through all the steps, and then they got letters from everybody for supporting it. So it's great. So we can move forward. With Crab, that's again, that's another one for the ward rep that could reach out to them prior to the whole new development, but it wasn't done. So It could be
Well-
it could be, hold on, it could be an afterthought. It definitely, if they want to work. I don't think there's anything that limits them from, coming to us now and presenting some art projects for those places. And Cynthia, I'm going to have you hold though, because Jim did have his hand up first. Go ahead, Jim.
I understand Crab already commissioned an artist and had painting
Cindy.
done on their property.
Cindy Fletcher,
Yeah, Cindy. In fact, Cindy's sister told me.
through a donation.
Right.
Thank you, Jim. Any other thoughts on working with future projects coming into Annapolis?
Well,
I
we
think-
could certainly paint some trucks from Public Works. But seriously, we ought to ask Public Works if they're going to do artwork on their building and that we might be willing to help.
Yeah, we can send an inquiry to David Gerald and see if anything, but there wasn't anything in the initial plan, so I'm not sure. Anything else for open discussion? Cynthia?
Yes, I just need to clarify the record, and this is correction of the record. On May 17th, Marie Lugar of Maryland Hall sent an email to you at gtorrey@comcast.net. The subject title was Sound and Light, Craig Coloriso at Maryland Hall. She received no response from you, so I told her to go to the city website and to make an application through the APIC website. So on May 19th, James Pennington of Maryland Hall sent an application to AIPPC@annapolis.gov. I believe there was some parts of the application missing. The PDF, which Maria sent an additional PDF. I believe what was missing was a W-9, but they did send the paperwork, the application, the PDF to AIPPC@annapolis.gov, just to make a correction on that. And, then, of course, on May 22nd, you sent acknowledgement of this Maryland Hall application. So it has been our goal for many, many years to collaborate with Maryland Hall, to be partners with them. And I just want to, make a note that they did do their due diligence. It's trying to apply for the Craig Colorusso project. And just because someone asks for a big ticket, it doesn't mean, we have to give them that much. We can still give them a smaller amount. I mean, let's face it, the Arts Council has been giving $2,500 for many, many years. So I think, it's something to look in the future forward to look for collaborators, look for partners, and to give them I don't want to call it a token sum, but at least to say that, yes, we support your project. We wish we could give more, but we can give you a small amount. Anyway, like I say, I think Maria Lugar was attempting to go through the channels and to make a proper application. I do think that perhaps it's a little onerous, especially for non-English speakers. The application process may need to have some kind of assistance so that they know how to properly attach a W-9 and et cetera. So that's my comment. I just wanted to correct the record on that. Thank you.
Well, since we're correcting the record, the application was made after the project was already approved and started to be installed. That is not something that we can participate in because we voted as a commission to not retroactively fund things. And that was mainly to keep it transparent for the public to allow enough time for the public to comment, to also see the applications that were coming in, to have time to review them. This was something that was already selected and chosen. So that was the main factor for that. They didn't have a vendor application attached to it. And yes, and they didn't have a W-9 attached to it. They also sent it to a Gmail account in which you copied it to, and not to my functioning email, because I don't have anything in there. The Gmail account is not a functioning email from me. I do ask that all of the applications be sent either through the website, which is aippc@annapolis.gov, or at the Annapolis aippc@gmail.com. That way we guarantee that it is being received by us and not to the personal emails. Also, because a lot of those applications hold a lot of, private public information on them. There's like social security numbers and all that kind of stuff. So don't send them to private emails. That is information that we need to contain into a semi-secure position in order to protect the applicants and make sure that they're not getting sent to numerous places that could possibly be hacked. So that's where we are with that application. And it wasn't about, somewhat about the funds, but the application wasn't ready to be considered for funds anyway, based on the fact that it was retroactive and also that it wasn't complete. So we're going to move on. We're going to move on. And if you have a comment or something else for open discussion, we can do that.
Is your Comcast.net account accurate? Maria Lugar sent to gtorrey@comcast.net. So
that's not,
she's new at Maryland Hall, so maybe.
I understand.
Yeah.
And I'd be more than happy to walk her through an application that's for a future project, but not something
Right.
that's retroactive.
She was directed toward the website, but that Comcast.net is not an accurate account for you because that's where she sent it.
No, the Comcast.net is an accurate account, and there is nothing in my folder for it. So,
well, it was May 17th. You can look back.
And I did, yeah. And we're going to
perhaps we can reach out with.
We're going to move forward. Thank you.
James Pennington also, just to touch base. So, there are
Lynn,
that they know the process.
Calling for a point of order.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to
I don't
move
think
forward.
this is actually a forum for this discussion.
Yes. Thank you, Lynn. Anybody else for open discussion? Jim? Jim, you're muted. Unmute.
I'm not going to get into the email fiasco, but I did want to suggest that maybe we ought to look into having those five applications translated into Spanish and make that available through the website. Seems to me it's a small thing. It's a small thing to do nowadays, since these things are technologically very easy, but it would be helpful to people.
Okay, I'll let Barbara go ahead and speak, and then I'll make a comment.
Yeah, thanks, Genevieve. Maybe in the future, we might want to think about maybe having a short instructional video, and then maybe this could be shared with the Spanish liaison, and they can translate that into a Spanish version. So that way it's pretty clear. And we'd have a direct link to the email that you suggested, Genevieve. So it's right there along with the instructional video. And I'd be happy to work on that with someone. So let me know.
Thank you. I think that's a very good suggestion. And I can talk to Laura Gutierrez, and we can move this forward. Krista?
Yeah, hi. I can't hold my hand because I'm called in, so forgive me for that. I do just want to add that I have a lot of compassion for what Cynthia is stressing. I'm wondering, David, this question is for you. Is there anything on our webpage that we could do in the way of like a pop-up screen or anything like that that would, give like a shout out that says all emails should be directed to this address kind of thing? The other thing I wondered is if it's possible for us to put something together and put it on our social media page as well, especially since we're going to be coming into sort of a new year, towards July when we're going to be getting more money and all of that. And just, really promote it out a little more. I think Cynthia's point, that we want to get the word out. We want to make sure that certain people are aware of it. Perhaps we could even tag their pages even to spread the word. I think maybe we should have some discussion on that a little bit further. But, I'm kind of pointing this to David. I don't want to open a can of worms to make it so that we get too many emails to reply to. Maybe, maybe we send it out without comments or questions, but just as an informational post that just gives out the information. So anyway, with regards to outreach, that's something I think that David and Genevieve and I could maybe work on to try to improve. So, so that's kind of what I'm thinking of. I just want to see if anybody had any comments, and especially David. Thanks.
Thank you, Krista.
Bill, Krista, in regards to your initial question, yes, it is possible to put a modal, they're called, which is basically just a pop-up window that gives you instructions, can give you links, whatever, but that's something that, the city of Annapolis would have to do. That would have to be a statement of work for those guys. I'm not sure, kind of what kind of requests kind of going with that. I know you talked about some other things about making the form digital, which is another thing, which is all this is possible. Enough time, effort, and money, you can do all these things. It's just a matter of, if the city is willing to kind of allow us to do these things. So it's possible. I'm not, I can't speak for the city in terms of whether I want to do it or not.
Lynn?
Well, we do have a budget. So my thought is, maybe that's something, if the city doesn't feel they have the funds to make something possible like that, maybe it could come out of our budget. I don't know.
Well,
if
I'm
that's
sure
a
the
legal
city's not
thing
going to
for
open their
us, or-
website up to complete strangers. So that's probably not going to happen, regardless of how much money.
Yeah.
Unless we, someone wants to dedicate it, but it's probably not going to happen that way.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna let Lynn
Thank-
speak.
I just
Hold on.
want to emphasize that as long as an email address and all other instructions for how to submit an application is on the request for proposals, that is all we should need to do. We are perfect. There's nothing wrong with having links to the application on certain, throughout the website, but we want to keep that as succinct as possible. And it can be mentioned more than once on the RFP, but we should not have things floating out all over the place about where to submit your application without having the application, the actual instructions included.
Right. Lynn, my thought was that this is something that we would be working on down the line, but it was to address the concerns that Cynthia had. But I agree with you, yes.
I can also check, with our webmaster and with, what our capabilities are within the programs and the software that the city uses to get some feedback and more information on that. But we are under their capabilities, basically, as to how our website is done. And they did just do a whole website upgrade. So we do, our webpage does flow much smoother, and it's neater and it's easier to read than it was before. So they are making steps to making this whole process more functional for us. Cynthia?
I just want to assure the group, as federal and state workers, we have very strong firewalls. So just to make that, but I always direct everyone to the city website and to the AIPPC site.
Thank you. And that's what we should be doing, is just direct them to our website. And if they have any questions, there are links there for them to submit questions and people to contact. They can also do it in person as well. They can go to Pip Moyer, they can go to City Hall, they can ask for applications there and submit them that way. They don't have to do them digital. And then they'll get scanned in and sent over to us for review. Anybody else for open discussion?
Can I make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Is there a second?
I would second that.
All those in favor say aye.
I was on mute. I'm sorry. Aye.
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 Anyone opposed to adjourning? Okay, well, thank you, everyone. It was a very good work session, and I feel that we got all of our stuff put together, and I look forward to possibly our funds being there next month and having some spending votes. So I'll be in touch as soon as I get more information. I'll send it out to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks,
Bye, thank
everybody.
you.
Bye-bye. Good night.